I did also want, since Tuesday, I talked about Scott on the radio, and there's been a few news stories. And Patty Stanger texted me this morning at 6 a.m. from London on her vacation, and
Well,
said,
6 a.m. to you is noon to her, but go ahead.
But yeah, okay,
3 o'clock. Okay,
whatever.
go ahead.
So I said to her, she said, I read in the Daily Mail that you and Scott broke up.
Yeah.
And she's like, what is going on? What can I do to help? And I said, we didn't break up. We had a disagreement on Tuesday. It was Monday night. We had a disagreement on Monday night. We are talking. We are talking through. We're going to, he's out of town right now, but we're going to spend the weekend together. We're going to figure this out. And I'll tell you what happened is that, Megan had kind of outed us on Instagram, and then all of a sudden there were these stories that, Jeff Lewis has a new boyfriend. And I think that brought everything to a head, because even though we've been dating like 5.5 months, and maybe this is all a good thing.
Nobody really knew who he was.
Yes.
He was a mystery
and
Scott.
I didn't know what he was, and he didn't know what he was.
No, I mean a photo of him made it.
Yes.
And we went from
It
a
made it
mystery
official.
Scott to a Scott.
It official. Now all of a sudden I have a boyfriend.
Yeah, of course.
And so I said to him, I'm like, look, we're in a situation now where it's been almost 6 months. What are we doing here? And if so, like, there's going to have to be some changes, because right now it was just like light and casual part-time. But now if we're talking about like a commitment and exclusivity, well, I need more than a part-time boyfriend, and I need somebody
But he's sending mixed signals.
Well, I think he says one thing,
yes,
like, I'm committed, I want a family, but then his actions speak otherwise.
Right.
And I have to say, Patterson, I have been thinking a lot about what you said. And you're right. He has been single for 10 years, and he's dated people. He's dated a lot, like 3-month relationships, 4-month relationships, 2-month relationships. And you're not invested, so you don't give a shit. If something goes wrong, you're just like, I'm out. But I think because we've been going so slow over the 6-month period, we've developed really strong feelings for each other. So we're both don't want to pull the plug. We don't want to pull the plug.
Okay.
But he is set in his ways.
And you're set in yours.
And he's used to all kinds of space and independence. And I wouldn't say that I'm set in my ways. I'm like,
you have a complicated life, Jeff.
You're older than the last time you went through this. You're now 12, 13 years older than when you started dating. You are a different person in many respects. So
but
it's
remember,
like you can't go backwards. You can only. This is the relationship you're in now.
You're in now. But he's a guy that's single with a dog and some fish. You're a guy that's got 20 nannies, 17 helpers, the landscapers, the vendors, the houses, the this,
there's
the that.
people in and out of that house all day long.
Yeah, it is. And
my kid loves the activity.
Of course she
But
does.
apparently my boyfriend does not.
Kids
and
love
he's saying, he's like, I don't feel comfortable in your house. There's always people there. Like, people are in and out all day long.
I get that too, though, by the way.
Yeah.
I get it.
And he says to me, he's like, isn't there a day where we could just sleep in and I could just pull the covers over my head? And I thought to myself, no, there isn't. There is not, because I have a baby. I have a baby who gets up at 7:30, which means I have to get up at 7, and I got to let the dogs out, and I got to feed the cats. I got to clean the cats, and I got to get the bottle ready. I got all kinds of shit to do.
So maybe he comes on the day that Gage has the baby. And then you tell the staff not to come in that day.
Well, there's a compromise we can make.
There is something new.
There's something new.
You figure out something new that's going to work.
You got to create your own new environment. You remember when I told you have to train your environment?
Yes.
You've trained your old environment. Now you got to train your new environment.
I do need to compromise. I said to him, look, if you want a lazy Sunday one morning with Monroe and you and I, well, okay, we can have people come in at noon.
We can go stay at the hotel down the road.
Right. But I kind of, the same people, like, and he loves everyone that works there.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But, I try to say to him, like, the reason we can just go to dinner at 7 o'clock on a Saturday, or go to breakfast, or run to the gym, or take the dog on a walk, is because we have these people.
Right.
And so you've got to understand, like, there's a lot of value here. Because, especially when you talk about a guy who's got all this independence, you don't want to be chained to, a kid with no help like 24/7. You don't want that. Not a guy that's got all the freedom in the world.
But just a guy that wakes up in the house by himself every day with some fish that don't talk and one dog that needs to pee. And he comes over to your house, it's Grand Central Station. It's got to be culture shock. It's got to be culture shock.
There's
and you're
no
on the
place
phone
to relax.
He's right about that. And maybe you would do yourself a service by adapting a little bit to his stress.
Maybe.
Meet a little bit. Just come a
maybe
little
this is
bit
a sign for you. Like, maybe I need to simplify my life a little bit, or at least, compromise to his side, because maybe he's the one that's sane here, because you're like me. I mean, we have 99 things going on at a time, 200 plates spinning, and it's always something going on.